Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody. The learning in Elu, we've been learning, sponsored by Michal Ogans, by Josh and Marilyn, in memory of Marilyn's Ima and Josh's Abba, and Mindy in honor of the birth of her twin grandsons. The whole week, this week, has been sponsored by Miriam and Avram Deutsch for the Reflushtem of Parablima Basara, Lachia Sprinza Bas Miriam. Okay, we have a lot to get to, so I want to get right to it. I'm very excited right now because this is Torah that I've been wanting to learn for a very long time. This is a light of Torah that is something else. This is from a tzaddik who's a relatively young tzaddik. I will not say what that age is to make anyone, obviously to not make anyone feel weird about when I say young, bichlal, but he's relatively a younger tzaddik. And he's right here in Beit Shemesh. He is something else. His Torahs are something else. He's simply the real deal. He's our dear friend Judah Michelle's Rebbe. He's the Torah we're speaking about right now is something like we always say, Dvarim hashavim lechol nefesh. It's getting closer and closer, and we're almost like Bamish Rosh Hashana. And there's, if we really could choose, if our neshamas really were more in touch with us, they would beg us all day long, take in every second of the preparation so that you could really understand and be present during Rosh Hashanah about what it's really all about. And then it just comes and mamash, it's so fast. Even though it's a Yom Harichta, it's one long day, it comes, it's so fast. So we're going to try to do as much as we can. We have this Thursday morning, and we have next Thursday morning, and next Thursday morning is mamash the day before, but still it's very, very important that we do as much as we can to understand what is transpiring. What is the day really all about? Because it's a secret. Every other holiday you could say it's this, that happened, this happened. Rosh Hashanah is a secret. Baker sel yom chagenu, it's still a secret. I would never do this normally, but I'm actually wondering. I'm not going to do it. I was going to say, let's learn the last paragraph first and go backwards, but that was a little bit presumptuous of me. Let's delve right inside. We have a beautiful ma'amar from Rav Kluger, who didn't grow up, I don't think he grew up as a Breslover. He definitely has become a kusher to Rabbeinu HaKadosh Tanachal Naveh Makor Chochma, to Rabbi Nachman. Tzchus Yagen Aleinu. But what's interesting about his teachings is that sometimes you learn these Sfarim and you feel like someone's laying a Breslover trip on you. It's not a Breslover trip. It's Rabbi Nachman's definitely here, no doubt. He's behind every word over here. But there's something here, there's his own lashon that I think we will find a very chazak connection to help us get in touch with what we just spoke about. Like I said before, Rosh Hashanah, mazeh. Mazeh hayom hazeh. What is this 48-hour day, one day? What is going on over here? Especially this year. Mamash, like if it was crazy enough, if it was mysterious enough, then bring in Shabbos and Rosh Hashanah, it's even more mysterious, which we'll be talking about a little bit during Rosh Hashanah itself. I would say get your seats if you didn't yet, but it wouldn't help anybody either. So Hashem should open the gates, everything will work out. Bezrat Hashem. Yeah, it will. It already is. I want to go right into his lashon. We're not going to be, I know this is like a fat pack you got over here of all these papers, but you'll see. I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but all mechuvan. Does everyone have pages? All right. If you're going to write on it, you're more than welcome to write on it, hold on to it, and just bring it back next week, because we're definitely going to be continuing with this next week. בעומדנו לפני ראש השנה, נבוא בסייעתא דשמיא להתבונן בפשטות הכתובים ודברי חז"ל הקדושים. Let's understand what Chazal have said about Rosh Hashanah. להבין מהי הנקודה הפנימית של ראש השנה. Try to understand what the inner point of Rosh Hashanah is all about. אשר נקרא Yom Tov. Rosh Hashanah is called the Yomtov. ובפשטות הוא תמוה. On a simple level, תמוה means it's wondrous. לא מובן, right? שכן יום טוב מבטא יום שבו אנו מעוררים עניין טוב שקיבלנו פעם. What is Yom Tov usually? Yom Tov expresses a certain inyan, a certain matter. We awaken a certain inyan that we once received. What does that mean? We reawaken a certain nekuda. That's what Yom Tov usually is. We reawaken a certain concept, a certain thing that we once received. נכון? כגון פסח, שבועות וסוכות, שהם זה... Are there any extra ones? Thank you. We're good. Yes, thank you. כגון פסח, שבועות וסוכות, that's Yom Tov, שהם זכר ליציאת מצרים, קבלת התורה וענני הכבוד. Right? Pesach is יציאת מצרים, Shavuot is קבלת התורה, Sukkot is ענני הכבוד, meaning when Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot appear, what's the simcha of the day? Well, Tachlis, is we're reawakening the appreciation of the gift that we received on that specific day. That's what a Yom Tov is. Oh, this is a good day. Why? Well, this happened now. We're not just remembering it, we're reawakening that energy. We're reawakening that spark. ואפילו יום הכיפורים, ששורשו ותחילתו בקיבות חטא העגל, אך מכל מקום קיבלנו בו מתנה טובה ויקרה מאוד. Even Yom Kippur, that's rooted, its root is בעקבות חטא העגל. Like what brought about Yom Kippur? One of the most horrible sins that ever happened. But eventually, what's the matana that we received on the first Yom Kippur? Kapara. Nachon? That means acceptance of forgiveness. A cleansing. So Yom Kippur, the nekuda of Yom Kippur, that reawakens every Yom Kippur is that there was once upon a time, there was this day, the first Yom Kippur, that there was a nekuda of cleansing that took place, acceptance of our forgiveness, and that's reawakened every year on these days. Kaparat ha'avonot vehitgalut 13 midot shel rachamim. Now, even though Hanukkah and Purim aren't Yom Tovs, Hasidim still always say to each other, Good Yom Tov, on Hanukkah and Purim. כמו כן, חנוכה ופורים הם לזכר הניס... I remember one time I thought the guy was a chassid. I said, Good Yom Tov. He looked at me, the chutzpah, mechutzaf. אתה מבזה את המועדות. Yeah, he started giving me such musar for kidu. I'm dissing the kedusha of Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, or Shani and Kippur, because I said to him on Hanukkah, Good Yom Tov. Then he looked at me and he said, Chag Chanukah Sameach. That's how it started. I remember it. It was in Davidka. I remember it till today, in Davidka. כמו כן, חנוכה ופורים הם לזכר הניסים הגדולים שיראו לאבותינו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Hanukkah and Purim are also reawakening that thing that happened that time, right? Of what happened on Hanukkah and Purim. I'm awakening it. Now let me ask you a question. What are we reawakening on Rosh Hashanah? What nekuda, what happened on Rosh Hashanah that it's a Yom Tov that we're saying, this is what I'm bringing back to the table. This is what I'm reawakening. This is what I'm remembering. Ulam beRosh Hashanah lichola lo na'asa imanu davar. Nothing happened with us, to us, Rosh Hashanah. Ve'al shum ma anu chogegim Yom Tov. And why are we even celebrating it being a Yom Tov? Now that's an interesting question. In the morning halachas that we've been doing this whole week, after Shacharis, we've been addressing this, seeing how even within the world of halacha, the halachas of Rosh Hashanah, of it being a Yom Tov, are very different than the other Yom Tovs. Like a few of the examples we've been given is that on Rosh Hashanah you're supposed to wear, you could wear new clothes. It shouldn't be the best clothes in the world, but it should be newer clothes, better clothes than what you're used to. But it shouldn't be the best, because you're still on trial. Even though you're sure everything will be okay, you wear white, but you don't take the greatest of clothes. This morning we were speaking about eating. This may calm some of the women in the room down. The halacha says don't overdo it. Not the husband that wants you to... It's the halacha that says don't go nuts. Because really you shouldn't, it says there, like you shouldn't stuff yourself, and then take away from the presence of, wait a second, what is this day about? There's this Emas Adin. So even in halacha, it's clear that the simcha of the Yomtov is different. And he's asking, what is the difference? Like, why is it, basically he's saying, why is it called the Yomtov? Why is Rosh Hashanah called the Yomtov? We can understand why the other Yomtovs are called the Yomtovs, but why is Rosh Hashanah called the Yomtov? Now, I'm sure we have many, many different reasons you've already heard in other shurim, b'chulei. He has a certain mahalach here that's going to be speaking about the avoda of the nefesh that we're trying to tap into to be taken very seriously on Rosh Hashanah. Ubepashtut, the next column on top. ובפשטות היה מקום לומר שאכן ראש השנה איננו קשור בהכרח לכלל ישראל, אלא שבו מתחדשת מלכות השם יתברך בעולם, וזה נעשה על ידי כלל ישראל. He says, Rosh Hashanah is not necessarily a Jewish holiday. Which is so funny, right? He's saying, why is it's not necessarily like all the other Yom Tovim, it's like things that happen to Jewish people. Is Rosh Hashanah, and when you look at the davening, is Rosh Hashanah necessarily a Jewish holiday? It's very interesting. It takes us out of our comfort zone when we talk like this, right? Makes everyone really unspilkes. Whoa, what were the Katzes really doing in Canada over the summer? Right? It's not, but that's not. I'm trying to bring a point that actually will help us really liftoach da'lev to the ikar of Rosh Hashanah. What is he saying? Something happens in the world. What's that? Mitchadeshet malchut Hashem yitbarach be'eretz Yisrael. No. Mitchadeshet malchut Hashem yitbarach be'kol ha'olam. The malchus of Hashem is renewed in the whole world, over everyone. When we say in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, ve'yeda kol pa'ul ki ata pe'alto, ve'yavin kol yitzur ki ata yitzarto. Every person, every human being is reconnecting to the Malchut of Hashem. It just happens to be that we are the ones that are ke'ilu ushering in the renewal of the Malchut over the whole world. Hu ke'en Yom HaShabbat. He says it's a little bit like Shabbos. Sheshayach v'kashur ba'omek rak l'Hashem yitbarach, asher shavat v'yinafash b'yom hashvi'i. It's like, why do we even have a shaykhus to Shabbos? That was the day that Hashem said, I'm doing my thing. Ulam, hu ichnis besodo gam et bnei Yisrael, v'natan lehem et ha-Shabbat kematana tova. But he's like, you know what? I don't want it to just be about me. I'm going to bring you in, Yidilach. Come in. I'm going to give you this matana. It's just a gift. Come and see how I rejoice on the seventh day. But even that is, what he's saying over here, I think, is like, Ki'ilu, even Shabbos is hard for us to understand our shayachut, just like it's hard for us to understand our specific shayachut to Rosh Hashanah based on the way that we built it up right now. Now skip to the next paragraph. Omnam achar ההתבוננות בפסוקי התורה ובדברי חז"ל הקדושים, משמע שמראש השנה הוא מכלל המועדות, והוא שייך רק לישראל עם קרובו ולא לאומות העולם. But he's saying over here, actually, when we look deep at the way Chazal, the psukim Chazal used to describe Rosh Hashanah, we will actually see, no, this is actually very much a Yomtov, a Moed. Now, Moed means a meeting place, Ohel Moed, the tent of gathering. Itafka, we do meet Hashem in a very, very strong way. And it's also Shayach very much specifically to Am Yisrael, the rejoicing of it. Even though it's shayach, even though what happens is happening to the whole world, we play the role of hitchadshut hamelucha for everyone else to feel. ובספרים הקדושים ביארו את מהות היום טוב של ראש השנה באופנים שונים, like he said. In all the different svarim, you'll see different takes, different connections to what makes Rosh Hashanah. ונבוא לבאר בסייעתא דשמיא הבנה נוספת. And with Bezrat Hashem, we're going to bring a different understanding of all this. Now, the next page, Shin Yud Chet, and the next page, Shin Yud Tet, I'm going to tell you outside, okay? Just because of time and because, like I said, we have two times to meet, And it's very important we get to the nekuda. He goes through the psukim and the Ramban that explain what does the Torah say about Rosh Hashanah. Now, if there's one word, and this year it's even more shayach than ever, if there's one word that goes together with Rosh Hashanah, what would that word be? That the Torah speaks, that the Torah calls it? Zikaron. Zikaron. Zikaron, zikaron, zikaron. The Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah is based upon this word zikaron. Yom zikaron, zichron tru'ah. You know, and this year, why did I say dafka this year? Because this year on Shabbos, we literally have to have a zichron tru'ah, even though the Torah also calls it Yom Tru'ah. But this year on Shabbos, we have zichron tru'ah. We remember that Rosh Hashanah is about a tru'ah, but we can't do it because of the gzeira of Chazal, that we don't blow shofar on Shabbat, and that's for another shiur right now.
We have a whole month of shofar.
What's that? But we have a whole month, even though we know that it's different reasons behind it. Nachon. We have enough memory to remind us that's what Rosh Hashanah is all about. Nachon. But for all intents and purposes of this year, that's really what he's focusing on. Zikaron. Again, there are a lot of different takes to what Rosh Hashanah is about. This is not to say this is the one. But I think this is the one. I actually do think this is the one. I'm just saying. Okay? So that's why we're not going, it's a whole thing that he does. Bring me the shofar that I should remember. That's what Hashem says. Bring me the shofar that I should remember. And it says Yom Zikaron. It's basically, and that you should remember. It's all about memory. It's all about evoking a memory of something that actually did happen this day. And if we don't remember very clearly what happened on this day, it'll be very hard for us to usher in any newness to the new year, even if it's happening memela. But it'll be very hard for us to feel hitchachut, which is what we so desperately need, so desperately want, and so desperately long for. So now, if you go to the bottom left of Shin Yud Tet, we're going to pick it up from there. ועתה נבאר את מהותו של אותו זיכרון לטובה שמתעורר בראש השנה. He established, through the last page and a half, that there's a zikaron letova, that there's a memory for the best that gets awakened on Rosh Hashanah. שמכוחו נקרא אותו היום יום הזיכרון, and that's why the Torah refers to Rosh Hashanah as Yom HaZikaron, the day of remembering. ובכך גם יתבאר מדוע עניין הזיכרון לטובה כרוך עם כל השופר. And now we're also going to understand how the concept of remembering something for the best has to do with the voice of the shofar. And I just want to say something else. I'm getting the chills as I'm reading this. What's the day that really awakens our kishkas in the most painful way, more than anything, in Israel? In modern, Yom HaZikaron. Yom HaZikaron, we have that day already. Yeah, we have two Yom HaZikarons. We have Rosh Hashanah, and we have Yom HaZikaron. For the Giborim of mesirat nefesh. Remember those words. Because at the end of what we learn, it'll really come together. Okay? On Yom HaZikaron, on both Yomei HaZikaron, we are tuned into remembering something. On Rosh Hashanah, and it comes in from two different angles, but we're going to see that they meet at exactly the same nekuda. On Rosh Hashanah, the Zikaron reminds me of something, reminds Hashem, kivyachol. The shofar blowing reminds Hashem, kivyachol, of something heroic. Letova, and on Yom HaZikaron, Daled Be'iyar, usually, we have a Yom HaZikaron reminding us of the same nekuda from the other way, from the other direction. So now look at this. Hadvarim mefurashim umevuarim bechazal. And I love this shiur also because I don't know how much of you get to learn get to go through chazals and certain gemaras and everything. He's going to be touching upon like the whole, our whole masoret. So the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says, "Lama tokim b'shofar shel ayal shel ayin." Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, "Tik'u lefanai b'shofar shel ayal, כדי שאזכור לכם עקדת יצחק בן אברהם. I want you to use a shofar, a specific type of shofar, a ram. Why? Because there's one thing that I really want to remember today, and I want to be thinking about as you're going through your trial. There's something I want to remember, but Hasidim always say that means there's something, if Hashem says something I want to remember, it's something I want you to remember. Think about what I'm thinking about right now. God doesn't need to think about anything. But when we use Lashon like this, it's for us to be thinking about what we're thinking about. U'ma'aleh ani alechem ki'ilu akadetem atzmechem lefanai, the Gemara Rosh Hashanah says. At that moment when I think about, when you use the shofar, which is obviously coming from that shofar that was by the Akedah, I consider it as if you all akadetem, you bound yourself up before me. Bound like binding of the Akedah. What a lashon from the Gemara. Akadetem atzmechem lefanai. That if I would have, Hashem says, I considered it to be as if I told you, take yourself up to Har HaMoriah, that each and every one of you would do it. You know, we sit back, we learn the story of Akedat Yitzhak, and it blows our mind like, wow, they must have really believed in God. You know, they must have really believed in God. Hashem's not telling us to go and do that, but Hashem is saying, well, do something that reminds me of that story. Take the shofar, and it'll bring up a zikaron. Wow, nachon, that's what happened. Nachon. And Hashem is saying, and are you thinking about that as well? Because it's in you as well. And that's the nekuda of the shir. מבואר שכאשר אנחנו תוקעים בשופר, בכך אנחנו מזכירים את זכותו של יצחק אבינו שנעקד על גבי המזבח. This explains to us that when we blow the shofar, we are reminding, we are bringing forth again the zchut of Yitzhak Avinu that agreed to be bound up on the altar. והשם יתברך מחשיב כאילו גם אנחנו נעקדנו לפניו על גבי המזבח. And it's as if Hashem, again, he's reinforcing this point, it's as if Hashem יתברך also considers us that we went up as well and put ourselves on that altar. ומעתה יובן היטב סדר העבודה בראש השנה. Now we can understand what Rosh Hashanah, a little bit more about Rosh Hashanah is all about. שתחילה אנו קוראים בתורה כיצד יצחק אבינו הסכים והתרצה להעקד על גבי המזבח ופשט את צווארו עבור ציווי השם יתברך. First we read about it. It's not just that it happens at a blowing of the shofar that this memory is brought up. That's what the Kriyat Torah is, nachon? On the second day. That's what we lane. We lane Akedat Yitzchak on Rosh Hashanah. אנו קוראים מעשה זה בראש השנה. Why? Now this is connecting to the beginning of Shir. מאחר שבו ביום התרחש אותו המעשה. Remember we said before nothing happened on Rosh Hashanah? It's not true. It's not like, it's a little bit different because on Sukkot and on Pesach and Shavuot we have these dates more or less in the Torah. We don't have this date in the Torah, but the Zohar reveals to us something amazing. Do you know when Akedat Yitzchak happened? It happened on Rosh Hashanah. So we are bringing forth the memory of something that actually took place on that day. Like we've always learned, that the whole simcha of a Yom Tov is reawakening matanot, nekudot, zchuyot, that became available, applicable, whatever you want to call it, on those certain days. Chanukah, Purim, same thing. So Rosh Hashanah, it's so nistar, we had to wait for the Zohar Kodesh to come and say, by the way, this also happened. And it was on Rosh Hashanah. What happened? What we're trying to bring forth before Hashem in memory happened on this day in Rosh Hashanah. I'm sure you all knew this already, nachon? That you didn't know this? Most of the Chaver didn't know? Akedat Yitzchak happened on Rosh Hashanah? Some of you know. It's an amazing thing. Ukriyazo, leaning it in the Torah, he kehakt, and this is why it's so amazing this year again, because on this year we only have shofar on the second day, nachon, and we're laning Akedat Yitzchak on the only day that we have shofar blowing this year. וקריאה זו היא כהקדמה והכנה למצוות תקיעת שופר. שאחרי שקראנו על מעשה העקדה, that after we read about the story of the עקדה, אנחנו תוקעים בשופר. We do that. אשר מזכיר את זיכרוננו לטובה, which reminds our memory for the best. והיינו שהוא מזכיר שיצחק אבינו נעקד על גבי המזבח ביום הזה. ובכך מתגלה שרצוננו הפנימי לעשות רצונו. What becomes revealed when we're reading the Torah and we're doing this? Do you think Hashem needs us to read the Torah to remind Hashem? Does Hashem need anything? Never. Never has, he never will. Like when someone you have to, the shluchim have to be careful. Hashem needs you to put on tefillin. Hashem doesn't need you to do a thing in this world. You have to substitute that word with want. Hashem want that, yeah. Retzon Hashem. That's what the Torah is. Retzon Hashem. Need ma pitom. What's the Retzon Hashem through the reading of Akedat Yitzchak for us? What do you think? Why do you think we're reading this? Why do you think we're blowing the shofar mitzad Hashem? Why did Hashem tell us to blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah? For what? For what reason? To remind, the Gemara is using a lashon to remind him of good things. But for us, why is Hashem telling us to think about these things? Okay, don't answer yet. We're going to keep on learning. ובכך מתגלה שרצוננו הפנימי לעשות רצונו, שהרי עצם מציאותנו היא מציאות של מסירות נפש. I'm going to read these lines maybe 3 more times, okay? Because I want everyone to digest these words, okay? עצם מציאותנו היא מציאות של מסירות נפש. Okay, עצם מציאותנו, the essence of our true reality. By the way, this is Tanya 101, what he's saying. Okay? This is brought down in the Tanya as clear as possible. The essence of our reality, of our existence, is a reality of mesirat nefesh, meaning the most real you will ever feel in this world is when you act with mesirat nefesh in this world. Now, according to the Baalei Kabbalah, I want to share something. This is very intense. I think I shared it once before. None of us want to come back in another Gilgul. Agreed? Yeah. We want to get it done this time? It's pretty much agreed, right? And and all of us have been here before. And you're agreed? It's like, what are you going to say? Yes? The Shirat David women are insane, right? So you're going to start telling me like, yeah, I know exactly what I was before. But based on our Kabbalah, none of us are, I don't think any of us are really new. We're not here for the first time. Okay, this is all, we're cleaning up, this is it. This is Alavai, right? According to the Zohar HaKodesh, it says like this. For a person to not come back, they have to either die al Kiddush Hashem or be willing to die al Kiddush Hashem. Okay? That means that in the last generation, oh boy, how many have done their tikkun? How many, right? But the truth is that no one looks, it's a surah to look, to be able to do our tikkun on the first way. What we're here to do is to live a life of mesirat nefesh. To live al mesirat nefesh. Living mesirat nefesh, just to explain, it doesn't mean choosing the most dangerous place in the world to live and raising your family there. It happens to be that is an element of it. But realizing that our mitziyut is mesirat nefesh can mean that person in shul, that their davening drives me insane. Every Shabbos, it makes me want to contemplate other religions. That right? I've had conversations like this. Their davening drives me. I had 2 of these this week. No, not about contemplating. No. Not that part. That was a guzma. I'm talking about the first part of, I can't. It's like I want to come to shul and work on my midot, be that loving person, and then every single thing in the world gets triggered in me when someone else davens in a certain way? Can you say something? Right? Yeah, so I always say, yes, let me say something to you. Right? I will say something, and it's to you right now, right? That's generally how it is. It could be mesirat nefesh, mamash, for certain people, that's their mesirat nefesh, to actually lahafoch et ha'inyan hazeh letova. That could be mesirat nefesh. I've told you many times the story of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Nishmas Eden, where someone came, a scientist came to him one time and he sent him a letter. He sent him a letter with a few proofs against the validity of the authenticity of the Torah. And the Rebbe sent him back a mezuzah, thinking that the Rebbe, that something happened in the mail, that there was some kind of a balagan. So he's like, I'm going to write again, or maybe and he had a few more chidushim, right? He had a few more chidushim, and he added a few of them on, sent them to the Rebbe, and this time he gets a pair of tzitzis, right? Now it's a little bit like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing. Yalla, Chelek Gimel, more chidushei Torah, more chidushei apikorsus, he writes, and he starts writing against the context of the Sabbath, the way we observe it today. And I think there were other things there about, obviously Torah being from Shamayim or not, and he writes his whole thesis, and he sends to the Rebbe, and, this time he thinks, okay, now I got him, now he has to respond. And this time he sends tefillin. It gets tefillin. Okay. It's getting more, he's writing stronger stuff. He's writing strong stuff. He has to get stronger stuff, right? Listen to this. I don't know, the most beautiful piece of the story would have been, and then a shliach made him frum. I don't know if it was a shliach, but something happened to him and he got close to Torah, right? I would like to believe, of course, it's in the schus of those things, and he comes on, I don't know if it was dollars or it was before the times of dollars, he could still have yechidus, and he comes to the Rebbe and he said, I have a question. You could have answered all those shilas and disproved all of them years ago when I started writing you, and I could have been Shomer Torah mitzvahs already much earlier. Why didn't you? The Rebbe says, let's not kid ourselves. For sure, I would have won an argument. I don't know if that would have convinced you to do anything at that moment. I would have won an argument, but I definitely would have lost the possibility of a friend. I would have won an argument, but I would have lost a friend. Do we see that in Am Yisrael? That is mamash the metzius of mesiras nefesh in our times. Mamash. I would have won an argument, but I would have lost a friend. Rav Kluger is saying to us something very important. And these words struck me so deep. Mitgaler retzonenu apnimi la'asot retzono. You know what happens to us and with the tkiyas of the shofar? What's revealed to us? Our ratzon, what we really want, who we're really about, becomes revealed to us through this whole description of Akedat Yitzhak, playing the main role and function of Rosh Hashanah. Because it's reminding us we are Eineklach, we are Tzeitzaim, we are descendants of Yitzhak Avinu, and his Pnimiyut Ratzon was that he should be bound. How do we know that? From the Torah, the Pasuk that tells us that it wasn't Avraham Avinu forcing Yitzhak to go on the Akedah. How do we know? There's a Pasuk. Vayilchu shnehem yachdav. Vayilchu shnehem yachdav. They both went together. So this is the most beautiful thing over here in Rosh Hashanah is that why is it on a certain level such a yantiv? Because is there anything more beautiful when I discover that my ratzon hapnimi is to mamish give my life for Hashem? Can I say anything more beautiful about myself? Can anything bring me more simcha in the world when I discover that that's who I really am and that's what I really want? You know what Averas do? Averas cover up this reality. Averas create mechitzas between the real me and what's become of me. And the reason I'm doing so much tshuva, hopefully all year long, but definitely during Elul, is to get to this nekuda hapnimit, where when I think of myself, I stop being the greatest self-persecutor. Is that when I think about myself, there's no greater joy. To Hashem also, there's no greater joy. not just to us. The simcha of the Yomtov of Rosh Hashanah is that the nekuda of mesirat nefesh being the real me, that I would be willing to do anything for Hashem, brings the greatest joy to me. And it also brings the greatest joy to Hashem when we see ourselves again, when we meet ourselves again. That is the zikaron. That's the day of memory, of remembering what the day is all about. That's the nekuda הפנימית of Rosh Hashanah. Let's continue this paragraph. Again, I could say this line all day long. שהרי עצם מציאותנו היא מציאות של מסירות נפש. מאחר שאנחנו מיוצאי חלציו של יצחק אבינו, וכוחו ועבודתו נמצא גם בתוכנו. His koach. It's funny, out of all the avot, the truth is, we always have more romantic imageries with Avram. Yeah, Avram and Sarah. Even though Yitzhak and Rivka, of course, there's something, but Yaakov, Rachel, here, Rosh Hashanah, it's Yitzhak. Yitzhak is that person. He's the image. It's his light, it's his koach, it's his mesirat nefesh. וזה עיקר המדובר בברכת זיכרונות. Now you know we have 3 sections of davening in Shemona Esrei, right? Malchuyot, zichronot, and shofarot, נכון? So when it comes to the section of zichronot, Rav Kluger says, and that's why, look at what it says in zichronot. כמו שנראה בחתימת הברכה. As we get close to the ending of the bracha of zichronot, when then you blow the shofar, right? Look at the words. ותראה לפניך עקדה, שעקד אברהם אבינו את יצחק בנו על גבי המזבח, וכבש לחמיו לעשות רצונך בלבב שלם. Look, it should be seen before you, like the Akedah where Avram bound his son on that mizbeach. וכבש לחמיו לעשות רצונך בלבב שלם, כן יכבשו רחמך את כעסך מעלינו. Whatever it took for Avram Avinu to be Avram Avinu, whatever it took from them to not get their own machshavot in the way because they wanted to listen to your words, so too Hashem Yitbarach, in the schut of what happened then, your ka'as on us, if there is any ka'as on us, it should be swept away whenever you remember it's this mishpacha that I'm still talking to. It's this family. It's this. These are the descendants of this one. Like I shared with you on the Sunday, I think the Sunday morning shir about, I said it in shul also about Reb Levi Yitzchak B'Ditchever. Did I share it with you? About what happened one year in Elul? Where did I say it? I don't remember. This is a great thing. It lines up perfectly with this. In the yeshiva of the Chafetz Chaim, one year in Elul, there was a few chevra that it was very clear after a few minutes they were in the wrong yeshiva. I don't know if it ever happened to any of your children or even to you, like you signed up for a school. It was clear to you, it was clear to the staff, to everyone, this was a mistake. It's not working out. No? Didn't happen then?
It was in the men's year.
Huh? It was in a men's year?
Yeah. I think you also said in shul.
I think I mentioned it in shul, yeah.
Like maybe 2 Fridays.
So it was discovered that one of the boys, who was a little bit of a shovav, I guess, was an enikul of Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. So the Chofetz Chaim found out about this. He calls that kid to the office, and he said, "Listen, I changed the Hanhala's decision. You cannot be thrown out now." So I didn't add to the story that maybe he said, "We'll see. Maybe you could be thrown out in Cheshvan or in Kislev, but in Elul, I need an enikul of Reb Levi Yitzchak Berditchever to be here because he is the one that was always defending every yid before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So I need that enikul to be here in the yeshiva," and he stayed. So it's the same thing over here where we're saying is like, who are we bringing up in memory? We're bringing up in memory the mesirat nefesh yid. That's Yitzchak Avinu. And that's why it says, "Vakedat Yitzchak lezar'o hayom berachamim tiskor." And the zera, the offspring of Yitzchak, that's who we're asking today for you to remember. We could have said the zera of Avram. We could have said the zera of Yaakov. We could have said the zera of Yosef. But when it comes to remembering the offspring of someone, that's how we say it in the brachas. Baruch atah Hashem, zocher abrit. And we end off with such confidence. Because we say, "Blessed are you, Hashem, You remember the covenant. The covenant with who? With everyone. But today, we're focusing on the covenant that was made with Yitzhak Dafka. Why? Because who he was mesirat nefesh. And we're realizing that's who we are as well. And when you look at us and think of us, you know we would do anything in the world for you when we're connected to our true selves. We've been working for 30 days in Elul now to get back to the true selves. We're working so hard on getting back to remembering what we'd be willing to do in this world, who we really are. You see that, we see that, Yom Tov. That's the Yom Tov of Rosh Hashanah. That is the נקודה that's מתעורר on Rosh Hashanah מצד the inyan of zikaron. We'll just do this last paragraph. We'll end with this for today. ובפשטות אנו מזכירים בראש השנה את מעשה העקדה. So just on a very simple level, we remembered in Rosh Hashanah עקדת יצחק כדי שנזכה בדין בזכותו הגדולה של יצחק אבינו. Not just chesed, not just rachmim, but even al din, according to din, to be zoche badin. כמו שאמרו חז"ל, לשון הכתוב, ויקחו את המאכלת. נקרא מאכלת, על שם שישראל אוכלים מתן שכרה. It's so beautiful. Why is it called, what's a ma'achelet usually reference to? Does anyone know? Huh? Yeah. You think, no, he didn't take the knife. He took the ma'achelet, meaning, it's just so beautiful here. He took the gobbling up of the reward of mesirat nefesh. That's what he took with him. אך בעומק יש לומר שהזכרת מעשה העקדה איננה רק כדי שנזכה בדין. It's not only, we don't just read this in the depth of it only to remind us that we should be זוכה בדין. אלא שמעשה העקדה מבטא את עצם מהותו של יום הזיכרון. What this day is really doing is just expressing what this day is really all about. We read עקדת יצחק not just to merit a reward. We mention עקדת יצחק to proclaim what this day is all about. יום הזיכרון. היינו שביום הזה מתעוררת מעלתם המופלאה של בני ישראל. The simcha of Rosh Hashanah is that I remember who I really am. I remember who I really am. No, it's a double-edged sword. On the other hand, we're bringing back the zikaron before Hashem, and it helps us be zoche badin. But what is it? Hashem could keep on doing this every single day, but if I don't remember that the real me is this, mazel zel. It's for me. היינו שביום הזה מתעוררת מעלתם המופלאה של בני ישראל, שהם צאצאיו של יצחק אבינו, ועל כן הזכרת מעשה העקדה היא בעומק הזכרת זיכרונם של ישראל לטובה. And that's why in the depth of it, what we're doing here with remembering the מעשה of the עקדה is bringing back the memory for letova, that we remember things letova. We remember that this is who we really, what we're really all about. And again, emunah in a nutshell. If I had to lesakem this whole shir and say, so what? Maze emunah? What's emunah? Emunah is believing that after all the hard work I do, be'emet, all the sincere work that I do, that after removing any shmutz, which we call averot, but it could also be not dafka averot, but anything that, even dvarim mutarim, that aren't needed. Do you understand? Not just averot, but even permissible things that just aren't needed because they're just clogging an access to who I really am. Emunah means that I'm going to discover this nekuda. I'm going to discover the Yitzhak Avinu that's within me. And when I discover the Yitzhak Avinu that's within me, nothing brings greater simchat HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when that happens, there's a hitchachut of melucha of Hashem on me. The mamlacha that I speak about, that's what we're going to talk about next week, this kingdom that I speak about that happens in the whole world, first has to obviously happen on me. Hashem becomes a melech on me again when he sees he has another soldier that would do anything for him. And I realize, the awareness is, I realize I become that person. I could become that role that could change the whole course of all of, not just Jewish history, world history, because a yid working with mesirat nefesh is the most powerful dynamite thing that can be in this world. A yid that's living with mesirat nefesh, does more in this world than any other thing in the world. Again, the mesirat nefesh can be eventually smiling and even enjoying that other person's die. That's it. For some people, it could be bigger things. Whatever it is, we should have a shayachut to it. Anyway, this is the beginning of this mahalach of understanding why Yom Tov, again, how we started this year. Why is this called a Yom Tov? Why is it called Mikra Kodesh? What's exactly going on? Nothing really happened. No, something did happen. Actually, one of the most important things that ever happened in the world, according to the Zohar HaKodesh, happened on this day. And that's the context of today, and we're going to continue Bezrat Hashem next week. All right, thank you so much for coming, everyone. Shkoyach.